Assuming you already have a general idea of the type of food you want to make, the first thing to consider is the viability of your food in your particular area. When Yumpling first launched, our signature dish was our big chicken, which is a very popular night market food in Taiwan. It's basically chicken thigh that's pounded flat until it's bigger than your head, marinated overnight, deep fried until golden crisp, and served with your choice of 2 sauces.
Am I allowed to swear? That's f***ing delicious.
We thought so too. What we didn't account for, unfortunately, was the crowd we were trying to sell to. Probably 80% of the lunch crowd in Midtown Manhattan works in a corporate setting. They want something that's easy to eat and won't get all over their hands and clothes. A giant piece of chicken might look cool on Instagram, but it's not very practical to eat in an office. So we took it off the menu after only a few months. Price is another huge factor to consider. You have to think about the neighborhood you're selling in. Are you trying to sell fresh seafood to college students? No matter how good it is, I doubt a lot of students are willing to shell out $30 for a lobster tail. Is your food truck priced competitively with other trucks in the area? If you're not sure, go check out the competition and take pictures of their menus. Remember to also think about seasonality. For any place with 4 seasons, winter is generally the slowest season, unless you sell something like hot chocolate or coffee. Cold seasons can be especially brutal if you sell cold food like sandwiches, salads, or juices. If so, you can expect sales to dip 30 to 50% during cold months. Next, let's talk about your menu. You know, it seems like everything these days is getting bigger. TVs, student debt, butts, everything but the size of menus. Modern food trucks and restaurants tend to have smaller, more focused menus. If you go to a lot of middling or failing food trucks, you're gonna see the complete opposite. Huge, bloated menus with 30 different options. When a food truck doesn't do very well, the owner tends to add more and more menu items in an attempt to attract a wider audience. So you might see an Indian truck that sells hot dogs or a Greek truck that sells chicken wings. Therefore, when creating your menu, always remember
KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Great advice. Hurts my feelings every time.
Keep it simple, stupid. Create a small menu and don't worry about appealing to every single customer. And here's why. Number 1, it's much better to cook a few things perfectly than a lot of things poorly. There's no way you'll be able to dish out multiple orders quickly and consistently if you have to know how to make 30 different things, especially in the tight confines and with the limited equipment of a food truck. Number 2, more menu items means more training. It takes much longer to learn how to cook 30 different things than 4 or 5 things. Number 3, more menu items means more supervision. If an employee prepares just one dish over and over, he'll be able to master it in as little as a week because it's constant repetition of the same task for hours at a time. Later on, he'll be able to teach that dish to anyone who joins your food truck, which frees you up to do other things. Now imagine how long it would have taken that same employee to learn 10 different dishes instead of just one. If you have a large menu, inventory will take up much more room because you'll have to store so many different ingredients. Inventory may also cost more because you may not be able to buy some items in bulk. Or if you do buy in bulk, they won't be as fresh because you'll be using less of each one each day.
Tiramisu? You are kidding me. Oh, that's eggplant. How many portions of food is here? Well, it's just endless. Oh my God.
Number 5, a large menu may mean you need multiple types of cooking equipment, which takes up valuable real estate inside your food truck and will cost you more money during the build out. Number 6, if you have 30 different dishes, you'll have to use much smaller font for your menu board. You may not have space for pictures. People passing by won't be able to read anything, and everything will just look extremely crowded and dense. Once you have an initial idea of what you want to cook, spend at least a few weeks perfecting your dishes at home before you reveal them to the public. If you're going to sell burgers, for example, test out different shapes, cook times, meat to fat ratios, decide how charred you want the meat to look, how thick the patty is, if the ground beef will be from a single cut or from multiple cuts, if it'll be 100% beef or a mixture of beef and pork. Test what temperature you should store the meat at, how many you can stack on top of one another, if they freeze well, how many hours of refrigeration leads to the juiciest patty, and so on.
Are you done? Are you done?
Keep in mind, all of this is just for the beef patty. You'll also need to test different bun varieties, cheeses, and toppings. It's a lot. Whatever you plan to sell, make sure you measure every ingredient down to the gram. And keep written notes of everything. At the very minimum, you should have at least a couple of pages cooking and taste test results per dish. Don't be naive and think you're a reincarnation of Gordon Ramsay.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Idiot sandwich what?
An idiot sandwich, Chef Ramsay.
If your notebook isn't full, it means you're not dedicating enough time and effort to your food. My partners and I spent 2 months of daily testing before we came up with our current menu, and we still make some tweaks to some of our dishes till today. Also, there's no such thing as an original recipe. Everything you've ever eaten is basically a variation on an existing food. So don't be afraid to start with recipes from cookbooks or the internet and then add your own flavor to them. Try lots and lots of combinations to see what works and what doesn't.
Hamburgers where the buns is jelly donuts, and drinks where hot dogs is the straws.
Another milkshake, please.
One important thing to keep in mind is that whatever you cook at home may have different results when cooked on your food truck, because the cooking equipment will be different. So, once you have the results you want at home, see if you'll need to adjust cooking times and temperatures on your food truck. Starting at the end of this chapter, I'll be providing a summary of the startup costs for your food truck with a low end and high end range. Obviously, every food truck is different, so use these cost estimates as a guide only. For your menu costs, this will highly vary depending on how often you cook and the cost of your ingredients, but it can range from $100 all the way up to $500 or more, giving you a total of $100 to $500.